Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when you must decide who you're becoming, not what the world calls you, not what people expect of you, but who God designed you to be. And in that journey, there is a principle that separates the average from the extraordinary, the noise, makers from the history, makers. That principle is this: work hard in silence. You see, we live in a generation that celebrates display more than discipline. People want the crown without carrying the cross. They want the stage, but they don't want the silence. But I came to tell you today, greatness is not born on the stage. It is born in the shadows. The seed does not shout while it is in the soil. The seed is silent, hidden, buried, but while the world sees nothing, something powerful is happening underground. Roots are growing deep. The DNA of destiny is unfolding, and when the time is right, when the process is complete, that seed breaks through the surface, not as a whisper, but as a tree. Greatness is born in the shadows, not on the stage. This truth is often overlooked in a world obsessed with visibility, applause, and recognition. Many people believe that success begins when the spotlight is turned on, when followers increase, or when your name is echoed in public spaces. But in reality, true greatness is not born when people are watching. It is born when no one sees, hears, or even suspects what you are building. It is born in the quiet, in the unseen efforts, in the midnight hours where no cameras are rolling and no one is applauding. The shadows represent the hidden places, those private seasons where you're developing skills, building character, and learning discipline. It's in those moments of obscurity that your foundation is laid. And without a strong foundation, public success becomes temporary. The shadows are not punishment, they are preparation. They are God's workshop. That is where your integrity is tested, your motives are purified, and your resilience is forged. People often try to rush through these seasons, frustrated by the lack of recognition. But what they don't realize is that the shadow season is sacred. It is essential. It is where authenticity is birthed. When you study the lives of those who truly impacted the world, you will always find a long period of silence and hidden labor before any public breakthrough. Moses had the wilderness. David had the fields. Joseph had the prison. Jesus had the desert. These were not mistakes. These were divine processes where identity, clarity, and purpose were formed. The stage reveals who you are, but the shadows define who you become. If you skip the shadows, you sabotage your strength. Real greatness cannot be microwaved. It must be marinated in the unseen. The seed grows in silence before it breaks through. This is a principle embedded in nature, and it mirrors the way purpose unfolds in our lives. When a seed is planted, nothing seems to happen on the surface. There is no sound, no visible movement, no announcement. But underground, something powerful is taking place. Roots are forming. Structure is being established. The seed is locking itself into the earth, drawing strength and stability before it even thinks about rising. Growth doesn't begin with exposure, it begins with depth. Many people want their breakthrough to come quickly. They want to be seen, heard, and recognized instantly, but they don't understand the process of the seed. Visibility without preparation is dangerous. A seed that sprouts before its roots are ready is easily blown away. That's why silence is not a sign of inactivity. It's a sign of investment. The seed is storing energy, anchoring its potential, and aligning with the laws of development. It trusts the timing of its design, not the pressure of public expectation. Human development is the same. The most important parts of your growth happen when nobody is watching. It's in your personal study time, your quiet moments of prayer, your lonely hours of labor, where your roots are stretching deeper than anyone can see. You may feel buried, but you're actually being positioned. The soil may feel like a hiding place, but it's actually a training ground. If you try to emerge before your roots are ready, you won't last. But if you allow the silence to do its work, when you finally break through the surface, your presence will carry power. Not because you pushed for attention, but because your foundation was formed in silence. The seed never speaks, it simply becomes. Let your results speak louder than your words. In a world driven by noise, statements, and promises, it is easy to believe that speaking about your intentions is the same as fulfilling them. But words, no matter how passionate, cannot replace the evidence of results. Anyone can talk about vision, plans, and goals, but it takes quiet discipline and consistent execution to turn those words into visible outcomes. Results don't need marketing. They carry a weight that words cannot match. When you truly produce something of value, it speaks for itself. There is a difference between activity and productivity. Many people confuse talking about work with actually doing the work. They announce their goals, promote their hustle, and create the appearance of progress without building anything of substance. But those who understand the value of results don't waste time trying to impress. They focus on producing excellence. They don't explain what they're going to do. They do it, and let the fruit of their effort speak in volumes where words fall short. Results have a voice. They carry credibility, authority, and influence. You don't have to convince people of your commitment when your results are undeniable. You don't need to justify your journey when your outcomes reflect your discipline. Every result is a testimony of your focus, your sacrifice, and your resilience. It is the silent evidence that confirms your identity without explanation. When you let your work lead, people begin to notice not just what you do, but who you are becoming. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most effective. True builders understand that greatness is not declared, it is demonstrated, and the most powerful demonstrations require no announcement. They are seen, they are felt, they are undeniable because they are real. Silence is the training ground for destiny. It is the place where the noise of the world fades away and the real work begins. Not the kind of work that everyone applauds, but the internal work that no one sees. In silence, distractions are removed and clarity is found. It is in those quiet seasons that your mind, your spirit, and your purpose are refined. You are not performing, you are becoming. There is no pressure to impress, only the discipline to improve. And it is in that sacred space of solitude that strength is formed. Destiny is not discovered in the spotlight, it is discovered in the stillness. The silence teaches you how to listen, not just to your own thoughts, but to the voice of purpose that speaks without sound. It teaches you patience when progress seems invisible. It trains you to depend not on applause but on conviction. In silence, your faith is tested, your motives are exposed, and your character is shaped. You learn to work without recognition, to endure without applause, and to trust the process without constant confirmation. The most powerful individuals are those who have been trained in silence. They have learned how to remain grounded when lifted, and how to remain focused when praised. They have walked through the hidden valleys where discipline was formed, where vision was sharpened, and where identity was anchored. These are not people who were rushed to the top. They were prepared in obscurity. They were strengthened behind the scenes so they could stand strong when the curtain finally rose. Silence is not the absence of activity. It is the presence of intentional growth. It is a place where the noise is stripped away so the foundation can be laid. And once that foundation is solid, it can carry the weight of a calling. Stop proving yourself. Start producing yourself. There is a constant pressure in today's world to perform for validation, to show your worth through external approval, and to convince others of your potential. But the truth is, greatness does not come from proving you are worthy. It comes from becoming what you were created to be. When your energy is spent trying to impress, you waste the strength that should be invested in building. You don't need to prove anything to anyone if you are committed to becoming the person you were designed to be. Proving yourself is rooted in insecurity. It seeks attention to fill a void, but producing yourself is rooted in purpose. It seeks transformation, not applause. It focuses on the process, not the performance. When you live with purpose, you shift from needing recognition to embracing refinement. You stop asking who's watching and start asking what needs to grow. You stop craving validation and start cultivating value. True growth happens when you decide that your development matters more than your image. There is no peace in performance, but there is power in progress. The moment you let go of the need to be seen, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You stop measuring your journey by others' reactions and start measuring it by your own evolution. Producing yourself means showing up when no one claps, working when no one notices, and staying consistent when no one understands. It is the quiet choice to become more every day, not for attention, but for alignment with your calling. You were not created to compete with noise. You were created to carry purpose. And purpose does not shout, it builds. It grows silently, steadily, deeply. When you stop trying to prove your worth, you free yourself to develop it. When destiny speaks, it never whispers. Destiny is not something that needs to be introduced with noise or explained with effort. It carries a presence. It carries authority. When it arrives, it is recognized without needing validation. That is because true destiny is not shaped by performance, but by preparation. When you've done the work in silence, when you've labored in the unseen places, when you've grown through process and endured the refining fire of obscurity, the outcome will carry a weight that cannot be ignored. It doesn't beg for attention. It commands it through the strength of what it has become. Too often people chase platforms before they've developed purpose. They want the stage before they've built the substance. But destiny doesn't respond to desire alone. It responds to discipline. When you commit to the journey of growth, when you stay faithful in the silent seasons, what emerges from that process will not need an introduction. It will speak with clarity, with power, and with the evidence of transformation. That is the language of destiny. When destiny begins to manifest, doors open without force. People recognize your value without a pitch. Opportunities align without manipulation. That's because destiny carries its own echo. It resonates in places your voice could never reach on its own. It announces your arrival without noise because it's not about showing up. It's about being ready when the moment comes. That readiness is not built on what people see, but on the quiet strength you built when no one was looking. Destiny is not loud in its formation, but it is undeniable in its manifestation. When it finally rises, it doesn't explain its journey. It simply arrives fully formed, tested, proven, and prepared. It doesn't whisper because it doesn't need to. It is the voice your silence has been preparing for.